So we're going to demonstrate the CoinFree service app for the Viewy today, and this app allows the service person to do several tasks while visiting a machine. They can download the latest settings for the device, run a firmware update to give it the latest code, and call in a log file if they're experiencing a problem or seeing errors in the device. They can submit the log file to CoinFree for review. And also, whenever they perform service mode, they're going to bring the update or bring the events up to date. So any cash sales, error events, anything the machine's waiting to report to the server will come along at that time. So it starts off very similar to the payment app, where you begin by scanning for devices. Select your device. So you accept the pairing request like normal, and if you have an HCC, it might appear in the top bar up here. You might have to pull it down and accept it. Now normally this is where you'd put in the service person's password or PIN number. That's not set up right now, so you can go ahead and just hit accept. And this is the main screen showing what you can do. So it's going to show the name on the device, the merchant or the machine number for the Viewy, and the firmware number, the version this device is running. And so the most common use is going to be to perform service. Now this is basically for when you're at a machine, taking the money out and putting in new products. You should run this mode to bring the cache numbers up to date and to allow it to record any events that have occurred. And so if there's a big backlog of events, the service mode can clear them, whereas the user app won't be able to move them fast enough to clear them out sometimes. So this is a good thing to make sure you do so the cache numbers are up to date at the time of service. And it might take a little bit as it calls the server and then calls the Viewy back. And you'll get this screen after every process. And so it shows you basically if the server accepted the message and then also if the Viewy accepted the message. And that's mostly for firmware updates. I'll show you in a minute. So that takes us back out of the service app. So we'll connect again, and we'll do the logs next. So again, we accept that pairing. And so now when you submit a log, what it's going to do is it's going to make a copy of all the logs and events on the device and set up a file to send off to CoinFree server. And you can also type a message describing your problem so that when CoinFree's engineers can look at it, they can have a starting point, or you can always communicate with us before you send it or after you send it to let us know, because it will be tagged with your machine ID and all that. And so, all right, so that came through okay. Okay, so this time we're going to hit update firmware. Now what's going to happen is it's going to begin talking and it's going to download two files from the server. Now this is a long message describing what's happening. Two files are going to be downloaded, and then we're going to have to manually send the two files to the Viewy. So a dialog box is going to pop up, and we're going to select Bluetooth and then select the Viewy to send the file onto it. And I'll show you how this works. So we hit OK. Now, the first file is usually quick, so we say send to Bluetooth, and then there's our Viewy snack, and we send it there. Now, and you get a little toast telling you about it, and then up in the top you see the progress as it goes along. And so we'll get our second file in a second here. And you have to be careful if there's more than one Viewy that you select the right one. Send to Bluetooth, and again, Viewy snack, number 27, the one we're looking at. So this is the big file. Now you can look over at the top and drag down your progress, and you can see that file transfer in progress. It shows the first one's successful and the second one's still running. And so once that's up to 100%, we will press this finish firmware update. But don't press it too early or else it won't be able to run the update and you'll have to start over. And so 13%. So this download could take as long as 5 or 10 minutes. During this time, your phone shouldn't be used for anything else. But if you set your phone down, you can get something else done, and just keep an eye on the download and make sure you get back to it pretty soon after the download finishes. Okay, so our download is completed, and we hit finish firmware update, and it's going to move to the next screen where it will begin the firmware update on the phone itself, and on the Viewy itself, and the Viewy would take a little while to finish this, but within a few minutes we should get a server result showing that the files were downloaded okay, and then the Viewy result showing that everything installed properly. And you want to make sure you don't power off the Viewy while you're doing the firmware update. And so now we see the approved and the approved for the Viewy and the server that everything's gone successfully, and the firmware update is complete. So we just hit done, and at this point you want to power cycle the Viewy so it will reboot with the new files and be running the latest software. And you should be able to see that new firmware version if you begin a new service call. And that completes our demo of the new features. Enjoy.